painting time. Outsider Racing League, the NASCAR season, finished yesterday. Felt like it was time for me to change the paint on that car for the next season. So it's going to be a couple weeks before that next season, but I think I might do a little official racing in the A car between then and now. And my Hamilton paint has gotten a little bit tired. I can show you that. I mean, it's in the thumbnail, but I think I have a couple of shots of it here somewhere. Maybe not. You know what? Never mind. It's gotten kind of tired. I've gotten kind of bored with it. And so I figured, hey, I need to paint a new car. Let's do a tutorial. So let me turn this down. A little loud in my ears. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna kind of do an A to Z painting tutorial here. We'll start with the super basics. The car that I'm painting is going to be the Mustang A car. And so we're going to start from the very scratch of downloading the most recent template and figuring out how to set things up. I get a lot of questions in the comments on how to set up things. And I just want to point out a couple of things up front. Number one, Trading Paints is not running, right? Trading Paints is not running. If your Trading Paints is running right now and you're following this along as any sort of tutorial, then turn Trading Paints off. Go to the car you're thinking about. Click Paint Car. Set certain things that are presets right here. There are a couple of things that you can't change on the template, such as your number, style, and color, unless you do the no number thing and then do a custom one, but I'm not going to do that today. At some point I'll do a tutorial on that, but I'm just going to use the the in-game numbering system. And same thing for wheels. You cannot change your number or your wheels from within Gimp. You have to do that here. And so because every time for it to render the changes, you have to exit and then leave and come back again into the sim, it's easier if you go ahead and just make these decisions now. So real quickly, let's talk about inspiration. I am going to be trying to recreate to some degree these paints, this theme that that Phil has put together for many of our other cars, right? These are the Ferraris that we were running for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. This was one that I did that was sort of a mashup of a couple of different themes that we were doing where we ran Le Mans. But you can see this sort of Adidas three-stripe thing with different variations of silver, copper, black, silver, chrome, black, blue. I like this gunmetal and silver combination with the copper. I think this might be the theme that I'm going for. But basically, I want to recreate that sort of theme on. I want to recreate this sort of theme on the NASCAR car. And so notice a couple of things. The wheels in this case are gold. I might not go gold. And then the numbers are white with a blue background. So let's do that part. I'm going to go over here to my number, and I'm going to choose white, right? And then I'm going to choose I think that's a good place to start. For wheels, like I said, I don't think I want to do copper. I'm going to do reflective chrome here. Well, actually, I think I will do a copper, just something really close to the color that I'm going to end up going with. I like that right there. Okay, so we'll start with that. Now, with that done, I'm going to download the template. Let's talk a little bit about file structure. I know, the exciting stuff, right? But this is where I get so many questions is the structuring and stuff. So you're going to get a zip file, right? Oop, that's not what I meant to do. So you're going to get a zip file. I'm going to extract that out to a folder that I have on a drive called studio here. And I'm just going to go down and find my Mustang, my pedestrian murderer, NASCAR Monster Ford Mustang. That's the one. No, hold on. Is that the one? Yeah, I guess so. Why don't I have my Hamilton one here? Call it Dirty Torque. And I'm just going to extract all those files there. Now, this is my working folder. This is where my paints that I'm working on, or if I want to save old TGA files or different variations of a paint or whatever. This is that, right? This has nothing to do with the actual sim. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and then let's talk about where the stuff from the actual sim lives. So in the documents folder on your drive, under iRacing, you should have paint, and you should have setups too, by the way. That's where your setups live if you weren't aware. But your paint folder has the paints that you've downloaded, as well as helmets and suits for all the cars and teams that you've raced against, right, that have been downloaded. Now, every now and then I like to go through and purge that because it just frees up some space in the drive. But what I'm going to do is go down here and notice I've got stock cars Ford Mustang 2019. That's the car we're painting today. Within that, I've only got one paint, but this is where yours is going to live in this format. Car underscore and then a number. What's that number? That number is the driver, right? So if I go in here and look at my profile, my driver number is 147818. And so when I create my file here that I'm going to be using as a working file, I'm going to put car underscore 147818, and then it's a target file, a .tga file, right? So it's important that you go know your number so that we can pull that up. All right. So we've now got a paint, a place to start working on our paint. And I'm going to go ahead and load into the sim. And what I always do is just go to Go Racing, current series here, test drive, and then just set up a test drive where it's a clear day, clear sunny day, in the car you want at the centripetal circuit because it's just the lowest graphical requirement to do. Nothing special here, except I always like to do it right at noon. And continue. Now, if you have a rift, like I do, it's going to prompt you to open it on the rift. And so I'm going to say no to that. I'm going to lock it down. Lock it down. All right, so we're going to say no to the rift and let that load up. Grab your coffee. Okay, now the next thing you should do is go ahead and hit test. Get that car running. I'll show you why in just a sec. I hit, by the way, just now Alt-Enter to take it out of full screen mode so that I can toggle back and forth here. So I'm going to hit Escape and I'm going to hit Live. And you can see here's our car with our default iRacing paint scheme, right? Just a black car that I had chosen with the default stickers and all that stuff that I had chosen with the numbering and the wheel options that I had chosen a minute ago, right? So no surprises here. Now, let's talk about why I said you need to let the car run for a minute. This is another area where I get a lot of questions. Let's say this is our new baseline, right? Just a blue car. I want to put that into the sim. How do I do that? So you have to create the target file with your number on it in that folder first, right? So I'm going to export to car underscore 147818.tga. Go get your number and then use your number there. And then go to Documents, iRacing, Paint, 2019, right? And here's that other file that was in there. Of course, that doesn't matter for today's purposes. It's just living in there as well. As you're racing against other drivers, Trading Paints will be downloading other drivers' paints into that folder. And so that's how you can see their paints. That's how it renders on your computer. Now, .tga was the file type there, right? So we're back in the sim. Now, if I hit Control R, you're probably expecting this car to turn blue, but it won't. It's just going to sit there white forever. The reason it's going to sit there white forever is because there's not a driver in the car. So it's an important nuance here. Now there's a driver in the car and a refresh to blue. Now, the important nuance here, the driver is what the paint is linked to, not the car. You could paint a Ferrari and then take that Ferrari TGA file, put it into the Mustang's folder, and it will try to render that paint over the Mustang because the driver's there, not the car, right? So remember that. Put the driver in the car, hit pause, and just leave it that way for the rest of your job here. Now, if I hit refresh, it'll refresh with the driver in the car, right? Okay, so now we've got a baseline. We've got our wheels. We've got our number. Let's look back at our inspiration and think about what we want to do here. So I think we want the gunmetal. I think I like this basic scheme, and I'm just going to sort of wholesale copy it. And that means I need a dark gray up front and then a white in the back, right? Remember that we're going to do spec maps here. So the actual colors that you see here are not the colors we're going to paint. We're probably going to have to paint and then spec map and then do some playing around with it. So I'm going to start by doing these two colors, getting them dialed in however I want them, and then we'll work on the Adidas stripes. So the first thing I like to do, so I don't do any cheating, is to delete the car patterns, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and change, because part of this is going to be silver. I'm going to go ahead and change some of this or change the base layer to white. So let's go ahead and just get some white action here. Get our bucket tool. I'm going to change the base color to white. And then a couple of things I like to do here as well is create two folders. One called graphics, one called logos, right? Pretty obvious what's going to go in those two things, right? And then I'm also going to turn on my wireframe. Now, interesting trick here. I get this question from time to time. How do you make your wireframe change colors so that it works against your chosen painting color, right? Sometimes it's hard. Hey, Mike. Good morning. Missed some outsider racing last night. I spun on the 4th lap and then was behind most of the race. Ended up finishing 15th. But I thought I'd get prepped for the next season and paint a car. Good to see you this morning. Okay, so what I want to do here real quickly is change the color of my wire to a color that I'm not going to be using so that it stands out, right? So I'm going to go in here and say select by color on the wire layer. Zoom in really close so I don't miss it. There we go. Now I've selected all this white. And I'm going to go grab a brush, and I'll probably do this in, how about red? It wasn't bad. Connor won, of course. Connor won the championship, of course. Bryce was running pretty well and then got into a restart crash that took him out of the race. AJ, sort of the same thing. So I gained some positions back late race, but I didn't end up cracking into the top 10 like I'd hoped. But I had a good time. Okay, so what have we done on this car so far? We've painted it white, and we've made the wireframe red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to constantly throughout this process, I'm hitting Control S, which saves my work as it is, right? Now, it's the first time I'm doing it here. So I'm going to navigate back to my studio, paint, Mustang, and today's file. Okay, now if I just hit Control S again, it's just going to repeat that. Also, notice how I've got export car to that same folder, right? So I'm saving the working file in one place on my studio drive, and then I'm saving the TGA file that's rendering in my documents folder, right? Those two places that I've shown you. So I'm going to go ahead and re-export it, open this up, and this should be a white car with a red wireframe. And there she is. Now, I've got white, which is the correct color for that satin silver finish that's going to be in the back of the car. So what I want to do is carve a line up probably here, maybe right through the number, that's going to have our Adidas stripe. And this is a little bit tricky actually, because I'm not sure how I'm going to do this with the numbers. It might be that I go ahead and do custom numbers on this car, which is not something I know how to do very well. So we'll experiment with it, and then maybe I'll try to show off some learning live. I don't know how well that's going to work. I didn't think of that. All right, let's just get to playing. I guess for that, we'll turn on the number block so I can see what their placement is. I guess in Outsider, the numbers are always going to be static, so I can do a version of this specifically for Outsider, I guess. Anyway, I guess I could start it behind the number 2. Just boom, boom, boom. Let's look back at the inspiration. So Phil went under the numbers. Okay, that's a good solution. He did a black container around the numbers. I'll do that too. So let's actually start with that container. Yeah, let's start with the container. So pick a side of the car to paint first. I'm going to start on the left here. And so I'm just going to use the box selecting tool here to match the shape of the number container. Should be fine. And I'm going to create my first graphics folder structure here, right? So what we're creating right now is graphics, not logos of stuff. So what I'm going to do is in the graphics section, a layer group, I'm going to create another layer group for left. And then within that, I'm going to create a new layer called number box, right? And then I'm going to paint that little guy all blackaroo. Right. Now, to talk real quickly about layer stacking, the order of things, right? I just painted that black, and you can see it sort of highlighted right there, but you can't actually see it, right? Why is that? It's because I've got this layer on above it, which is the same shape and size, and above it in the order, right? The higher something is, think of one playing card sitting on top of another. The one on top obscures the one below, right? So because I've got this one on, I can't see this one. Now, with that turned off, I've got a black box. So that's all I'm going to do on the left for the moment while we figure out our first stripe. So I think I'll start the stripe right around the exhaust outlet, or the jack entry point there, and then boom to boom, maybe a little less. So for this, I'm going to use the select tool. Where's she at? I feel like every time I get into Gimp, I feel like sometimes things have moved. Oh, here it is. The paths tool. So let's just follow this line up. And just sort of eyeball how you want this to start, right? It's probably pretty good right there. Yeah, it's probably pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and Shift V to lock that shape into place. And I'm going to start naming these things here. Put them into another subgroup, stripes, one stripe, right? And I'm calling it that because it's going to be number 1, number 2, number 3, 3 stripes. So I don't know what color will lead to copper, so I'm just going to pick something now that's, I'll just pick the yellow for now. And then we'll get one side's stripes done, and we'll do a quick spec map layer just to dial in color options, right? Put our number box above. Now, another thing, people have asked about pinstripes. So let's talk about pinstripes real fast. You'll notice on Phil's source here that the copper stripes have got black pinstripes alongside them. So let me show you one method that's relevant here to being able to accomplish that. And there are different ways of doing this, but I'll show you one. So I want a black pinstripes. What I'm going to do is select black in my color, right? I've already created this free selection here that is still available to me. Now, even though I've filled in the paint, I can still use it, right? So I'm going to create another. I can still use the selection, and I'm going to create a new layer called the one stripe backer, right? Um, Leaving this selection active, I'm going to hit move, and then I'm going to change to where I'm moving the selection as opposed to something that's already been painted. And so I moved it over 8 clicks, right? So now with black, I'm going to paint black. Now I'm going to move it back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And so I moved it again, and now I should have an even area that's 8 clicks to the right, 8 clicks to the left, larger than the yellow, right? So how do I now get the yellow on top? Well, stack the cards. So now you have a yellow stripe with a black pinstripe, and it's as easy as that. So now if we save our work and hit export, we should have, oh look, now I did it backwards. So no biggie, right? That's the funny thing. I usually do whichever one's down here first, but I was on the left side of the car, so why not do it? It's no biggie. What we'll do here is take our stripes and we will flip it. So I'm just going to use my flipperoo tool, horizontal, and then I'm going to do it again vertically, right? No, horizontal again. Yeah, that's going to be right. Yeah, okay. I had my orientation all wrong that whole time as to directions. Again, I don't normally work upside down first. I don't know why I did that. No biggie though. It's all good. The net result should be the same here. That's why you export often, review often. Get that dialed in. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's do the second stripe. So I'll call 2 stripe. And we'll just do, you know what I should have done is retained that selection that I had. It's all right though, we can recreate the line. I'll show you why when I do the third stripe, why I say that. For the meantime though, I need to save this slant. Match that slant right there. we go. So the way this works is we want the next stripe to be thicker, right? And at more of a slant, if I remember the way Phil did this. No, he's reducing the slant the farther back you go. Okay, gotcha. All right, so that means sort of get an idea what I'm doing here. Butchering Phil's really cool thoughts here. Okay, so this time we're going to do an inverse for the pinstripe, right? So I'm going to grab my black, and two stripe is selected, so I've got that. Now I'm going to go ahead and move what I just painted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Okay, I think I see what I'm doing differently that Phil was doing. So Phil, and what I think looks nice, and again, I'm trying to duplicate it to some degree. He's tightening it at the top, leaving it open at the bottom. And I think I'm screwing myself up the way that I'm doing this upside down first. I think that's where I'm kind of farting my brain up a bit. Let's go ahead and just remove our two stripe layer and tighten it up more at the top. I don't need to match the angle of that line after all. So bring that close. That ought to work. So we'll keep experimenting with different ways to do pinstripes here. So here I did the back first. Now I'm going to change I'm going to move my selection tool here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to match the size of the last pinstripe. Grab my yellow and just paint half of it, like so. Right, now move it back the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And paint that side. I don't love it. It's too... I think maybe I just didn't lean the first one in as much, enough. You know what we're going to do real fast here? We're going to start working on the right side. It's not working for me. I'm working upside down first. I like to flip stuff. So let's just real quickly recreate a couple of things and then work on the stripes again at a more aggressive lean. Recreate the number block. all the same stuff you saw me do a minute ago. I'm just doing that again. Just needs to get a bit bigger, doesn't it? So need a little bit more on the bottom and then each side. I might round off those corners in a minute too. Just gonna leave that roughed in for now. It's rough, but we'll leave it for the moment. Not happy with it at all. I think I need to come. I'm gonna leave it in. Doesn't leave it in. Invert. Erase. All right. Now I'm gonna leave that roughed in for a minute. Okay. So more aggressive on the swoosh on the first stripe. That's the mistake that I think I made last time. Was I was too subtle with its angle. I want to finish it right around the B pillar and then run it all the way up here. It's probably about right. Oh, shoot. Layers are important, kids. Keep things as separated as possible. That way you're able into layers. That way you're able to massage things. Move them around. All right, so it's kind of cool that I made a mistake here. I get to show you how to fix it. See this little bit of overspray right here, right? Where when I was doing the right side, I kind of went over a bit. So to fix that, invert your selection. So now instead of painting, like if I blotch out here, instead of painting into the selection, I'm painting outside of the selection. And if I invert it again, I'll be painting back in the selection again. What I'm gonna do is just, I did it again, didn't I? It's okay. So I guess what we'll do is remove our yellow because once again, moving too fast. One stripe color. Yeah, inverting your selection is a really handy way of creating and repairing lots and lots of stuff. Um, so it's worth knowing. All right, Mike, enjoy watching F1. Let me know if any racing comes on later. All right, looks like I did it again, so I'm going to get invert here and then remove any yellow from outside the selection. Cool, cool? Cool, cool. All right, so what I want to also do is put the blocker or the backer here over it, right? So the number and its backer is over the stripe. Okay, let's, with that in place, as just sort of, let's go ahead and do the other two stripes while we're at it. All right, so the next one needs to come down like this, maybe down to about the back of the first exhaust hole. Turn the wire back on. Control Z, kids, your best friend. I want a little bit of the third stripe to show before. I might need to migrate everything further forward again. I find myself still wondering if this is aggressive enough, or if maybe this is really the second stripe. I think that's the answer. I think that's the answer. Let's move the one stripe stuff back. And I think that might end up being our second stripe. Yeah. Yeah, that feels better. All right, cool. This sort of thing's all about adapting and figuring out what you want. Rename this mid stripe. I think I'm gonna like this better. Sometimes you just got to get something down and then see where it leads you. Better. All right, so let's do our black backer there. New layer. And we'll grab that yellow that we're using right now for a placeholder. And we'll move the selection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, remember? And we'll paint. And we'll move our selection again. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 to get back to center, and then 8 again to get the rest of the way. Pardon me. All right, I think I'm gonna like that. Let's go look at it. Yeah, now we're starting to talk. I even think I could probably close it in a little bit, but let's get the third one in first, and then we'll mess with some alignment. All right, for the rear stripe, it's going to be a less aggressive angle, right? So let's grab our line tool again, make sure we're in the right layer, and probably about there to about there. Yes. Unlimited power. There we go. So that gives us the outline, and then we're going to do what, everybody? We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to grab our color O choice and rough in one side. And then move the selection back the other way. Oh, crap. Hang on. Rough it in onto its own layer, obviously. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And pop in the other side. Yeah, that's right. All right, so this is our roughed in basic colors. You know what? Don't like that third one. Don't like the third one. Not enough it's showing at the bottom of the car. The distance is too great there. So I think we're going to make some adjustments there. Let's fill in the black here, and then move it over. I still don't know if that's going to be enough. And if nothing else, we can always move all the stripes around. It's probably better. Although now the two angles look almost too close, too similar. So maybe an adjustment needs to happen to the middle stripe instead. I really like the dynamic between the front stripe and the middle stripe. What I don't like is the way the third stripe came out, like at all. Is it as easy as that? Still don't like the third one. So that, I think that's good enough for now. It's again roughed in. I think I'm going to change up the rear stripe, but let's start getting some colors in order. Now that we've got these sort of placeholder colors, let's do the gunmetal in the front and the silver in the back. Let's mess with Spec Maps, and then we'll turn off the wireframe and see how we like it. I think the yellow will turn into a copper later. If not, I'll experiment and I'll find it. But let's go ahead and figure out the gunmetal for the front. So to do that, what we need to do is do a division. Do I want the gunmetal to stop at the first stripe? Yes, I think I do. So I'm gonna have gunmetal up here and silver back here, which means I need a grayish color ahead of the front stripe. So let's collapse our stripes group here and create a new gunmetal base. Pop that under the stripes, and this is nice and easy. It should be, where we can just rough under. Just outline the front of the car. All right, so we got a nice gross outline of the front, and we're going to just pick a not quite white, about like that. And let's paint that up. You can see how the stripe is taking dominance there because it exists above that gunmetal area. All right, now I know that's wrong, so time for a quick crash course in Spec Maps. If you're ready, chat. You ready for some Spec Maps? Because what we want to do here is get our colors dialed in. So, all right. Earlier we talked about folder structure a little bit, right? We talked about how under Documents in iRacing and in Paint, you have all your cars, and then within the cars you have the file that we've been exporting to, right? Car underscore then your number. So what we need to do now is create a spec map layer that is sent out to its own file, right? So what I'm going to do is turn off my main paintable area, right? I'm going to turn off my wire. So now I've just got nothing. And then then up at the top, you can see that there's custom spec map. So there are two main channels that you're going to mess with in here. The red channel, the metallic, has to do with how reflective, how chrome-like something is. And then the green channel has to do with how rough it is. And notice the way they're stacked on top of each other. And imagine in your head real quickly that you have a piece of sandpaper, right? Really gritty, rough sandpaper. That's your green channel. And then you've got some spray paint, chrome spray paint that you spray on top of it. You have a very reflective, very shiny, colorless sandpaper, right? If the sandpaper is white. So we're going to start by messing around in here and saying, let's create a, I'm going to expose the whole spec map area with, again, my main car's paintable area hidden, right? All I want now is my spec map area. So with that, I am going to say that the spec map is going to control the reflectivity of the entire car, right? Um, I'm not going to make one fully global decision as to reflectivity because I want the stripes themselves to be a copper reflective, but the rest of the car to be a sort of a satin finish, silver in one place, gunmetal in another. So what I'm going to do is first figure out the level of reflectivity and then go back to the paint and dial in the colors to get the exact result that I want. So should be pretty easy. First thing we're going to do is take our base paint, and I'm going to show you, just for the fun of extremes, I'll show you what happens if you make it fully reflective or fully not reflective, right? Um, Keeping in mind that what the spec map is doing is adding a layer of reflectivity to the default, right? And so you'll see. So the first thing I'm going to do is in the colors here, I'm going to say I want to be on the scale of 255, right? Because that gives you more granular control. If I can say I want value 197, that's more granular than value 97 out of 100. So I'm going to go 255, and because this is the red channel, I'm going to start by only using the red channel, and I'm going to max it out, right? So 0, 0. So red, 100%. Green and blue, 0%. So what's that give me? Red, right? Really, really red. But when it comes to spec maps, you're not talking about a value of red. You're talking about a value of reflectivity. That's basically saying red equals maximum reflection. Okay. Black means zero reflection. And so I won't refresh this yet. There is reflection on this car. You can see it over the fender right there, right? That's the default iRacing. So what I'm saying when I export this to a target file is, hey, iRacing, take your default and add a bunch of reflection to it. How much reflection? All the reflection, okay? So to do that, I'm going to export, and this is where it's easy to make some mistakes. Export to that same folder, but I'm going to change the file name subtly here, right? I'm going to add car spec with underscores 147818.tga, right? Your number.tga. And I'm going to export to that to the same folder. Okay, so now if I go look at that folder, you'll see that I've got that file and that file, and they're sitting on top of one another. In fact, this is a better example of that. The car is sitting below the spec map. Think of it that way, right? So the spec map is sitting on top of the car. So if I now refresh the car, I've got a chrome car, 100% chrome, right? And gold stripes instead of copper stripes. No, that's not what I want. I do want the stripes to be reflective in a minute, but not the whole car. So let's dial in a level of satin finish that I want, right? And then carve out the shapes of the stripes for the for them to be reflective, and you'll see kind of how we use layers within spec maps too. It's pretty cool. Okay, so we definitely don't want that. So what I'm going to do is say, all right, I kind of like your reflection action there, but what I want to do is add some green layer of, say, I don't know, 150, right? Let's just sort of do something middling, and drop that in to that base paint layer, because the majority of the car I want to be matte, or not matte, but satin. Let's turn off our wireframe. The wireframe is off. Oh, I know why. Okay. So this is an interesting thing, actually. I don't feel like I'm getting a good visualization of what that actually looks like because the wireframe's messing with me. So when I export to the spec map, I'm exporting to a different file without the wireframe. I need to turn that off, turn my car back on without the spec map on it, right? And then export that out to my standard paint, not the spec map paint. This is where you got to be careful with your control E's. It's easy to accidentally overwrite the spec map with the wrong one. So, all right, so that's a little too dull, right? It's too dull. We don't want that. So what I'm going to do now is go back to the spec map, and I'm going to change these values up a little bit more, right? So instead of 150, let's say 90. We'll paint that. So now we got this orangish color, but remember, it's not orange. It's me saying all the reflection, but then back it off a bit, right? So we need to export that to our spec map. Go look at that. Hey, now we're starting to talk. That's pretty damn close. All right, let's start messing with our stripe color. That's close enough to where I'm happy to play with that. Let's start dialing in our colors more. So the front stripe, what I want to do, let's begin experimenting with this color. I guess if it's copper, then copper's a value that's on top of orange, right? So why don't we start with this orange and then dial it from there? A really good way in Gimp to work with colors without creating those jagged edges is a color mapping replacing tool that they have, right? So what I'm going to do first is mess with the front stripe, and if it works out, I'll follow along with the others. So I'm going to go to, with that layer selected, with the yellow layer selected, I'm going to go to Map Color Exchange, and I'm basically going to say find me all the yellow, right, and convert it to this orange, right? See what it did there? It just found all those yellow values and said, oh, now they're orange. So let's export that to our regular car paint. That might be it. I just need to, okay, more spec map fun then. To find out whether I really have the right color here or not, I'm going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to drag it all the way up to where it's in my spec map section. And then I'm going to replace it with red, right? Why red? Think about that for a second while I do it. Are you thinking about it? So what I want to do is put a layer of maximum reflectivity on top of my base layer of reflectivity within the spec map, right? Which means I want the stripe to be fully reflective. So export that, export, replace, yes, yes, yes. And what do we got? Hey, we got a copper stripe. It's actually pretty damn close to what I want, I think. I mean, we'll have to fix the number here, obviously, but that's what happens if I take that black block off. I just want to see what it looks like. I mean, I might. Really need to figure out what to do with that number. Boom, 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 boom. really not happy with the way the number's happening right now. I don't know what to do about it at the moment. Okay. All right. Keep churning on that problem for a minute. Are we at the layers of reflectivity that we want throughout the car? I don't think we quite are yet. I think we're too matte on the rest of the car. So let's dial this back a little bit. That's about right. Okay, let's go replace the other stripes with that same orange and see how it looks. Cool. I just got to figure out the friggin' number. What am I going to do to figure out this number? The don't use a number thing is a different tutorial, a different thing. And I'm not going to do it in this one because I'm not comfortable enough, with how to do it. So I think what I'm going to do here for now is maybe not use black. And maybe I'll round this off. Maybe I'll do an opposing stripe. I don't know. And I think the blue is a mistake. Let's round off the edges. So it's an area where I get to show you some inverse selection tools. So what I'm going to do is grab the circle tool, right, and draw a perfect circle, 75, 75, why not? And then I'm going to move that So I'm going to invert the selection, and I'm going to erase anything outside of it. Boom. Move it over here. Do the same thing. Move it down here. And then over here, get an idea of how inverse selections work. Now you can create shapes with negative spaces, right? I hate that a little bit less. But I wonder if maybe it should be white and the numbers be black. There's an idea. So I might have to exit out and come back in with some numbers changing. Because if that were, let's first duplicate that one. Put it up here. Delete this one. If it were white, well, why not find out? Number backer, and we'll do a color map, color exchange. Oh, color map, color exchange from black to white, just like Michael Jackson. Oh no, I just overwrote my spec map. Easy mistake to make. So we'll overwrite the car, export a roux, and then we'll go back to the spec map again and export to the spec map, and problem has been fixed. If the numbers were copper, would it help if there was a black surround of the are the numbers fonts just wrong? God, I hate that. A little bit stuck because of these stupid NASCAR numbers. Suggestions from the chat as to what to do with this number? I'm a little bit stuck on it. I think if the number itself were copper. What if I did that whole section? Okay, what if I pinstripe around the black, or around what's currently white, right? And then I make the interior of it copper. I think right now it's the color contrast that's killing it, right? It's that blotch of white that isn't working at all. But I need a rigidly defined area around the number. It can't just be the numbers themselves because they're a variable. I can't paint an exact shape for the numbers. I have to have some sort of container for them. Let's work on a couple more things while I'm thinking about that. I think I'm starting to like the idea of pinstriping around the numbers, though. Or pinstriping around the block, and then having the interior use this copper. Let's experiment with that real fast, just to see if the color palette works. So I'm gonna go to my mid stripe here and just grab this color picker. Where the hell are you, color picker? There it is. All right, so selected. Let's change the color of our number backer from white to that. I did it again. Export as the paint. And export as the spec map. This might fix it. Find out in a couple of seconds. Okay, moment of truth. Does it work? So if that had a black pinstripe around it, would that work? I think it just might. And then of course I need to get the other two stripes to get to the same layer of reflection. I think that just might do it. Let's do a black pinstripe and see. All right, so the way I'm going to do this is just duplicate this a couple of times. And then, oh, you know what, hang on. Let me do it once, make it black. See what I'm doing here. Hope that made sense to everybody. wanted to know pinstripes. Okay. Is that our desired outcome? I think I want to go darker on that front gunmetal, by the way. Oh, I think we've got some nice, what's the word I'm going for here? Flexible options now, at least with the container. We can do some different stuff in it. I don't think I love the reflective numbers. Should have moved that with it. I think that helped. Just combining all of those number backer ones, the black pinstripe around there, into one layer. Oops, I keep doing that over and over and over. It's so easy when you're back and forth between Spec Maps to constantly be accidentally overwriting the wrong file. So I hope the way I'm fixing it is making sense. Fun fact, this should be the last live stream of the from this apartment. We close on the house in a couple of days, and hopefully next week we'll be all moved in. And I'll have all my stuff set up. Everyone who's moved, which is pretty much everyone, knows the pain that's a-coming. Let's change this to something a bit darker. Too dark? A little bit too dark? Too dark. Just about right. Just about right. Okay, let's go ahead and get our other stripes up there too, into the spec map now, so that they're properly reflective. We need to, we've done the front one, so we need to take the middle one and the rear one, duplicate them, and we're just gonna drag them up there. So that way we're just gonna layer exactly the same position. So now we have these two in their original colors. We're going to, on the mid stripe here, we're going to do a map color exchange from, I think it's this, yep, to this, right? No, this, yes. And then we'll do the same for the rear one, refresh the spec map, and see what we see. Cool, cool. Still think we've got some work to do in the number area, but making progress. At least now there isn't a shocking thing that's wildly out of place. It's just that that's the only splash of chrome, of white chrome anywhere on the whole car. And so that's what's standing out to me in a way that I don't like. So I wonder if changing the number on the car is the fix, and also changing the blue to a gunmetal is the other fix. So I'll come back to that. And I also think now I need to adjust the wheel color a bit to get closer to the copper that I've got, a more reddish copper there. Okay, let's continue on the car's paint. So we're done with stripes on the right side for now. Let's go ahead and get our front bumper painted the gunmetal. Hey, baby. Okay. It shall be done. Yeah, I made it. It's on the nightstand. It has been for a couple hours. This is automated. Yeah, but this is automated. You will be at closing. I don't know what that means. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, there was a little home buying thing needed to happen. Amazing how much of buying a house is sending emails. Okay, where was I at? Oh, I was painting the bumper. That's what I was doing. Ooh, that actually makes kind of a big difference when you paint the old bumper. Now let's get the hood into that same kind of state. Folder structure matters. Okay, it's starting to come together. Starting to feel this. Starting to feel this car a bit. Not sure if I can even paint the B pillar. I think that might be locked, like something I can't overwrite. We're about to find out, I guess. So what I need to do now is take those stripes and marry them across the top of the car, because they're going to be on the other side as well, and they sort of band around the car. So stripe one top, call it that, and we'll start finagling with the size of it. And I need to see how the stripe doesn't make it all the way up. That's because of this little area, I think. So let's patch that up. Well, let's see what happens when I just draw a stripe all the way across the top. Let's just see what that does. That needs to be that same orange and black. And let's do the black first. How close are we? Hey, we're not too far off. One more pixel. Bam. Just needed that one more pixel. Get it all linered up. There we go. So is that what we want? Or do we want it to be more of like a chevron kind of thing? I think needs to be more of a curve or a chevron. Yeah. All right. Delete that whole layer because it sucked. Let's expose our center line. Anytime you're going to do something that needs to be symmetrical, do half of it and then come back and flip it for the other half. So center line defined. Now I know that this is where this matches up, right? So that's going to come back to probably here off the car. It was this one, right? Let's see what that does. I have a feeling it's all wrong. It's all bees. Yeah. Okay. I think that works. I also need to do gunmetal on the top, by the way, but let me get these defining lines in first. Oh no, I put that on the hood. And in a few minutes here, I'll show you what I mean by um, flipping. It's one of the greatest tools you'll ever learn. So what I'm doing here is covering up this patch. Instead of erasing the overspray, I'm covering it so that I have the flexibility later of moving the orange stripe. If I end up not liking the way things come out, I can move the orange stripe around without um, without compromising, without having to patch it, right? Cool. One of the hard things here that I'm probably going to have to figure out is this arrow rail right here. I'm probably going to have to find that and throw some copper on it too. And of course I need to spec map up here too, but not until after I do the second and third stripe patches here. So let's figure those out. They're going to be up here on this rail. so we're gonna come up, and this one's gonna be pretty narrow to sort of follow the 1, 2, 3 grid lines. 1, 2, 3, right? That's where we want that one to terminate. So should be pretty close. Let's check it. Hope this is making sense and is helpful to those of you who are watching. If you have any questions, please throw them in the chat. Suggestions, please throw them in the chat. I might decide to tell you to go screw yourself, but regardless, throw them in the chat. Yeah. Too much. Ooh, so close. Is that right? One clickaroo sometimes is all it needs. All right, now, since I did a patch job there, hold on, what did I just do? Why is this one off? How'd that one get off? I actually botched that one all up. Okay, well, let's fix that in a minute. Let's finish our second one here. Let's see something on the wire real fast. Yeah, that's what I thought. Look at that. I didn't go all the way up, but I've got room on the bottom, so we're okay. So let's go down here and go to our stripes, go to the mid stripe, and move both of them. Nice. Okay. Okay. So because I screwed up and had to sort of patch this, right? I know I could do a color selection, right? But I'm not going to do it. I need to recreate this shape exactly so that I can create its pinstripe effect, right? So let's go to the stripe 2 and duplicate it once. We're going to do our color mapping again, right? We do this a lot, actually. It's one of my favorite tools. Take my black, replace it with my orange, okie dokie, and then I'm going to move it over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And then I'm going to duplicate it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is erase from that one the right side and erase from the other one the left side. And now we have a nice little pinstripe. And I'm going to merge those down to where they're one. Nice. Did you follow that? Huh? Advanced technique. Advanced technique. That looked good. Minor problem. It needs to be closer up here. It needs to be encroaching. So I think I'm going to change, like it's not a constant angle, I guess. It's maybe the thing here. So let's actually erase this whole section. And connect this to here. Of course, all this is happening in that quarter panel window, so it does not have to be very exact. Too aggressive. Just experimenting until I find a general shape that I like. That's pretty close. I think we got it. Actually, I feel like it needs to be a wider base there. So if I do that, yeah, now we're talking. Yeah, baby. Test, test. Doing it now. Yep. All right. Where do we leave off there? We need to follow that line a little closer. Okay, I think that's about right. my groove from time to time. Lose my place in what I'm doing. Okay. The detail work, man. The detail work. With this other one, with the third stripe, let's just match sort of this shape. Oh, hang on, before we do the top, let's do the bottom. So, right at this little guy and before that little guy. So, move the selection around till you get it where you need it. Little patches can go a long way. One too far there. Wonder if I should continue that up. Let's take that at a more aggressive angle, I think. Yeah. There we go. All right. Now let's do El Topo Parto. Select none and it's pretty close. always easy, but there it is. Stripe needs to come back just a tad on the car. This might cause a little bit of headache here. I do think it's better though. We went back 6 clicks. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio there, so between the scale on the side and the top, so it's not the same number of clickaroos. I never did fix it. Opportunity to see if we're able to paint over the P-pillar. Turns out you are, but I don't think I wanna. What is that? Car blackout. Cool. Wire. Still not loving the second stripe up there. I think I'm gonna have to even that out some. Yeah. I wonder if it's just as simple as widening it. Better, better, better. Okay, let's make sure we save our work. It's a pretty good spot to save. And let's begin thinking about logo placement. So this is a Dirty Torque themed car, right? Oh, I need to put gunmetal at the top. Forgot about that. Is it this one? So it's, yep. Now we got our gunmetal top. That's cool. That's cool. Underneath the stripe. I still need to do a spec map on the stripe there, but yeah, let's go ahead and do that. That's not too complicated. Maybe we should do some combining here to make it less complicated. I sort of have to get crazy with this. So I've got a whole black surround, and I've got a whole silver surround. So duplicate that one, take it on up. Man, I really screwed that one up. Let's merge those into one. So at least we've got that. So we'll duplicate that. And that other one, the top one. Duplicate that. Fixed it. Right, let's try 3. merge instead of duplicate, which is not the thing we wanted. All right, so let's do our spec mapping just real fast for these stripes. Hoping a lot of this stuff makes sense. As I kind of just go through it on the screen and not explain absolutely every little thing. All right, so let's color map exchange from the nice orange. Hang on, which one am I on? Oh, 1, that's why. Okay, colors map exchange from that to that. No, to what? Oh, to the red. That's what we want. So I do want to do the first one. Map. Because we want to set them to fully reflective. What's the goal here? To match the what's on the door. Oh no! I did that stupid thing again. Spec map, please. Export place. Export. Turn off the spec map. Export as the car. Place. So this should give me the reflectivity on the top of the stripes. Yay! Nice. Not unhappy with that. Still not in love with the number yet, but we'll get there. We'll figure that out. I promise you we'll figure it out. I'm wondering if that backer needs to be gray. And some pretty good progress here. Let's do a little bit of logo placement now. Plot your spec map down. And let's grab on the right side, let's do the first logo. I'm going to do a probably canted dirty torque logo. What am I doing? Paint, assets, dirty torque. I did this for my Audi, and I kind of liked the way it turned out with it at an offset like this. Let's see if it works here. It just looks kind of different, you know. Let's get the placement right. don't like it. Is it okay to overlap? Oh, hell no, it isn't. Let's look what it looks like too small. I think it's going to be too small if I do this. This is as bad as I thought it was going to be. Actually, I don't hate it. Let's do that and bring it down a tad. Up 3 clicks. More. That's actually not bad. I kind of dig it. All right. I think there was something on Discord about a new outsider. Outsider logo. Was it there? I could have sworn I saw an outsider logo on here somewhere today. And there it is. Why can't I open the original? There it is. Well, at least it's not big. You know what? There's the car painted. Done. Ah. Thinking this is going to go up here somehow. Okay, it's either there or there. ordered right. All right, cool. So let's move it back to the left some. Wrong button. Do I like its placement? Do I like its placement? I think it's fine. It's a little busy, right? It kind of breaks up the clean lines a little bit. Maybe it needs to be smaller and just within that faux outlet area. That indentation. Hey, yeah, now we're talking. Okay, all right. All right, do I have a SimTV logo? I don't know if I do or not. If not, I'll go find one. I do not. Is there one in here somewhere, maybe? Hey, huzzah! All right, where do I want this logo? Down left rear quarter panel, probably, I think. Which means I want it to be a black vector. Let's look at what the full color looks like. Oh, it's not going to work because it's a white background. Never mind. Navy. You know, when I started on this paint job this morning, I thought this would be an easy one. It's just 3 friggin' stripes. They're never as easy as you think they are. What's going on in the chat? Give me some suggestions here, guys. What do you like? What do you not like about this paint as it's coming together? The thing that I'm really struggling with right now is the number. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with the number. Really struggling with that. So any thoughts you have, I would love to hear them. And maybe we can figure something out together. I'm gonna do a little accent stripe here. Maybe some more copper back there. Some TV logo is a little too big. Nice, better. It's on the wrong folder. Let's see what it looks like. Stylistically, it doesn't match. Some other options that I can throw down there. Random idea. Random idea might be a brilliant one. I used this a long time ago. That's not what I wanted, was it? Layer, invert. That's what I want to do. I want to invert it and then layer crop to selection. Shoot, no, that's not what I wanted. Okay, I think I just did it all backwards is what it is. Random idea. Curious to see if it looks good. Huh. I'm gonna keep experimenting with this for a second. Might be onto something here. What do you think? I think it's kind of cool. I kind of do. I think I might run with that. Stumbled across something kind of nifty. It's kind of like that texture that Mike has on his Audi, but obviously a little more militaristic. What do we think in the chat? What do we think in the chat? Is it good? Is it dumb? I do love it when I have a random idea, inspiration, and when it actually looks okay. What do you think, T? Is it too busy? The camouflage, does it make it too busy? Does it need to be made more subtle? I have a thought of putting a layer of black over it. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. sake of the experiment, just cover the whole thing. Do you think it looks better with it sort of obscured like that? It almost marbleizes it. And yeah, I'm gonna black out something down at the bottom here, the splitter area at least, to break it up. I don't know. I don't know if I'm sold on it. It's an interesting idea though. I like the idea of adding the texture to the car. How is that over? Oh, I see. Okay. Thought I was in a different place here. Stripes. How about that? I kind of made it kind of neat. Lighten up the nose a bit though. Some of that's the spec map. That's the paint I just put over. Well, I guess it's probably all this big now. That's okay, I'll do that later. Huh. I did not go into this expecting to do a count on speed, but so I think that's what I have. I do agree, though, that we need to do something about the front being a little too dark. So why don't we do an orange splitter to match the other orange? I think an orange splitter is the ticket there. Where are we at here? Top. Remember that the opacity was 86.9. Noting opacity 86.9. The theme T. So we, as a team, at Dirty Torque, we have lately been running this sort of theme with these three sort of Adidas stripes on all of our cars. This is a bit of a break from that with the HPD that we ran at Le Mans, but kind of get the sense that we're mixing up the color combinations for different drivers, and then doing this stuff, right? One of them that we have has a textured front. Mike's is a textured front, but taking this sort of idea and dropping it onto a cup car that I run in the Outsider Racing League. And so that's the current experiment. I thought it was going to be a super easy one, and has proven to be more time consuming than expected. But, you know, that's the way it goes. Alright, let's do an orange splitter up here and then work on lightening up the nose, because I do agree with that. I do agree with that. I think I'll do a silver pinstripe. Just do the splitter here. You can always massage it. Front silver pinstripe. Alright, let's grab our orange we've been using. I think it's this one. Alright, that's FPO. Let's see how it actually looks and then move things around. What does it look like if I take the stripe down underneath the inlet there? Okay, I like that. Tight. I think we need to carve out these the lights in the grill from the Spec Map. That's really the next thing we'll do here. Yeah, I use the red texture pattern a lot for Mind Trick, and since that team is sort of fallen apart, we are, as Dirty Torque, sort of anchored to this new look, but we change it up quite a bit. And now one of the nice things about the new makeup of the team is that we have, a couple of guys that know how to paint. And so you're able to have more variety. It's easy to do a bunch of painting and then get burnt out on it and not want to do it anymore. I don't think this has to be super exact. So we're going to go back into our yeah, let's go back into our spec map and carve that out. Is that what I want to do? Yeah. Thanks, T. Appreciate it. I mean, really, the original design was one of Phil's, Phil Lake. So he deserves the credit. Oh yeah, that looks a lot better. He deserves the credit for coming up with the three-stripe look. Can I flip a selection? Yes, I can. Nice. Oh shoot. Did I just... I might have to fix that. You know what? Hang on. Back to the flip. All right. Let's do that again. I think I moved the selection that I just did up top. There we go. Okay. Now let's do the grill in much the same way. At least it's not some weird, complicated angular shape. I hate grills. They become so complicated. Going to battle against our old adversaries, the Americans. I'm the most Scottish Russian you'll ever meet. There we go. Nice. That ought to do it. The grill. The grill. All right. Moment of truth on the grill. Hey, all right. Looking good, looking solid, looking all right. Do I want to do the markers, the blinkers? No, I'm gonna leave the blinkers a little bit ghosted here. Okay, let's start messing with the hood. Select none, please. Spec map off and back to painting. In the logos, do I want to do any streaky stripes on the hood or just the logos? I already got the texture in place. The texture's dope-tastic. Let's throw the logo down and take it from there. Oh, excuse me. Oh no, I just exported to the spec map yet again. Oh, boom. Place. Okay. I think I just did it again. I hate it when I make stupid mistakes. Fix it again. All right. Back up to the spec map again. Export to the spec map again. For those of you just joining, hi, how is ya? We are doing a brand new paint inspired by some work that Phil has done with some of our other cars with these sort of Nito Spaghettio Adidas stripes that I am somewhat recreating on the NASCAR Cup car. As you can see here, sort of taking my own liberties on a couple of things like the numbers box, and I used a snow camouflage on the front with a mask to, I don't know, do stuff to it, make it different, give it some texture, something interesting. All right, I think that's way too dark, right? So we're going to need to carve that out. Is that? Okay, yeah. So I'll need to carve that out for surezies. So to carve the logo out, what I'll do is a color map to replace everything that's there with black, right? So layer, color, yeah, baby. When? Yeah, we can. Okay. Okay. Oh, before before they open. Okay. All right. I'll cut the stream short. No big deal. In about 10 minutes. Okay. So we're not going to be able to finish this live, but hopefully for those of you who've watched from the beginning, you picked up some new skillsies. It's always fun doing that. And colors, map, color exchange, the blue to black. So that might be a little bit ragged, and I just did it again. Export as car spec. Got distracted, got out of my groove. Turn off the spec. I don't hate it. I do kind of feel like my opaque black layer is a little too dark, maybe. I need to lighten that up a tad. Okay. Let's drop another SimTV logo on the rear deck. Where be it? Oh. Where be the thing? Well, what do we think, kids? Still a work in progress, obviously, but how are we liking it? It's unique, right? It's different. It's going to be a bit different on track. I think I am going to lighten up the camo area just a tad, though. I think I am. So, all right. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Hope you learned something. Hope you had fun. Hope you like the direction the car is going. If you are wanting to watch it race, then go check out the Outsider Racing League on YouTube. We are streamed by SimTV. I'll show you real quickly here. So, like yesterday, for example, was Phoenix. It was a good time. It was difficult, but it was a good time. But here we be. And you want to see me crashing my Hamilton? I was the first caution. I just straight lost it. There I am. I just straight lost it coming out of the corner like a chump. But it's good racing. It's good fun. So a lot of instructional stuff happened at the beginning of the show today. This car will be on track soon. Again, thanks for hanging. See you next time.